Welcome back to talk about the therapy dog program from the St. John Ambulance, Leeds-Grenville-Lanark. I'm talking with the coordinator, who happens to be Shirley Kennedy. Welcome to the program, Shirley.
Thank you very much.
You have some friends with you.
I do. This is my husband, Cam Kennedy.
Yes.
And he's one of our evaluators and a fundraiser chair. And this is our dog, Abby. And she's like the star of the show.
Oh. How old is Abby?
Abby's 10.
Abby is 10, eh? Well, she's very, very sweet indeed. Indeed. So, as a coordinator, what is your role now?
Well, it's evolving. So, I didn't come into the role with another coordinator training me. So, I have been figuring out what it is. Mostly what I try to do is I try to increase our number of units that are out there, the handlers and the dogs. Okay. So I do a lot of speaking at different occasions. We go out to do public presentations, and we just are seen around the area with dogs, and people will say, how do you get involved? And that's my role to tell them. I answer emails when people ask me about it, or phone calls and ask me how you get involved in it and what it all entails.
So would you go out to events, like I'm thinking something down at the water, if there was an event down there and you were asked to go, is that something that you would attend?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. So
okay.
last summer we did Shop the Street twice.
Oh, all right.
The second one for the food bank fundraiser. So we went out just to sort of show the flag and to support the other agency out there.
Okay. So now Abby, actually you trained Abby, right?
Well, I would say more Cam trained her because I was at work while she was a puppy.
Okay, so you trained Abby. So in order for her to become a therapy dog, she has to be evaluated, and whether or not she has what is required to be able to go into hospitals and residences and things like that. Am I correct?
That's right.
So what sort of things would you be looking for in other dogs, other handlers?
Well, I think the most important is the dog, how the dog's socialized, right? And that's just from being a pup.
Yes.
And then once they get into where the person or the owner is thinking about the therapy dog program, we look at the demeanor of the dog, how it handles public. When we do our evaluations, we have set scenarios set up so that if they're in a hospital setting, a retirement setting, we try and, I guess what would be the correct
Well, you'd be setting it up so that it's being staged as if you were going into a hospital, correct? So or retirement. The things that she would see and come up against.
Yeah, noises, wheelchairs, strangers, when they go into, like we do, there's another evaluation for the dogs that go into schools. When the kids all see the dog, they come up and rush in. But people do that too, even in the hospital. This morning when we went to Brockville General, it's the staff. They know Wednesday's Abby's day. So the staff all come up, and that's all a good thing.
They all want to say hello to Abby. I mean, not you two.
No,
Abby.
I said she's the star.
So she's like, she'll sit where she is now, or she'll stand and she'll greet everybody. And that's what we want to see, how the dogs react to people coming on. Do they hide? Are they skittish? You know, and that again goes all the way back how they're socialized.
And are they aggressive?
Yeah.
I was just going to say they're not going to be growling either.
No.
And the handlers were evaluating them to make sure that they have full control of their dog, and their dog will listen and follow direction from them.
That's very it's important. Yeah. It's very important. So when Abby goes into a hospital, what areas do you go with Abby?
So we at present time, being the coordinator, I'm in charge of all of the dogs and where they are.
Yes.
And at present we have 5 dogs at the hospital.
Okay.
And always increasing because there's a big hospital and there's a lot of hours that people are there. So we have 5 dogs in. When we go, we generally go on Wednesday mornings, and both Cam and I go up to palliative and critical care, which is sometimes a hard area to cover for volunteers to go into because, you know, it can be a little sad and a little depressing.
Yes.
But our thought is we go together so we can, you know, talk about it afterwards. And
Right.
I always think if this is one of your last things that you get to visit with a dog, wouldn't that be a better way?
Yeah.
So
I think
it's fulfilling for us, and we know it helps
the patients,
the
that are
patients
there.
and the staff.
And the staff, yes.
are,
Yes.
as with any medical professionals, are very stressed. And that's why it's turned into Abby Day.
Happy day. So the other handlers and with their dogs, do they go in to the hospital on different days, or would they go to retirement homes, or like are you all spaced out?
So
to go into different
the
areas?
dogs that some people do, depends on, it's a volunteer position.
Yes.
So it depends on people's availability.
Yes.
And their desire to do it. So
Okay.
some of there are dogs that will go to the hospital and then also go to a retirement or long-term care home. There are dogs that go to maybe a retirement home and go to visit at schools if they have the certification. So it depends on people's availability and their desire to do that. We kind of go where we're asked. So we've done presentations for the Alzheimer's Society. We've done presentations for the critical brain injury group.
Yes.
Like that, and we've been to Akwesasne and went to the Adult Education Center. So we've done quite a few things. And Saturday we're at the library because they're doing a fundraiser for the library. So they asked if we would be able to bring some dogs in and set up a little booth there. So we'll be
That's
doing
nice. Oh, you're very, very busy.
that. Yes,
Very busy.
happily.
Yeah, happily, yes. So tell us a little bit about going into the schools with Abby and what happens in the schools.
Okay, so I'm a retired teacher slash vice principal.
Okay.
And I've come back into the system because of the shortage of supply teachers in this area. And when I went in, I was asking about dogs in schools, and apparently there weren't in this area. And where we moved from, there were dogs in schools.
Yes.
So I asked about policies and found out that it is a matter of permission. So the parents of the children in the school have to give their permission that the dog will visit, and that people are trained to bring a dog in, and then the teacher, whichever classroom it is. And the idea behind it is that the dogs can be a relief for students with behavior, emotional, intellectual problems. But they can work with various classrooms and do practice reading with struggling or reluctant readers.
Would it be a one-on-one with a student?
So in that case,
Yes.
absolutely it
Okay.
is. And
Okay.
usually what will happen, like Cam used to do that in Simcoe County, and they would have 3 chairs. So Cam would sit on one chair, Abby would sit on the other chair, and the child would sit on the other. And the teacher provides whatever reading level the child is at.
Right.
And then the child will read to Abby because dogs don't judge. So they were happily read to Abby and pat her, and she licks at them and things like that. And then sometimes Cam would say, "Oh, Abby loves that story," and they brighten up and go,
Yes.
"Wow, this is a good thing." And then sometimes they would talk really quietly, and he would say, "I can't hear, so I can't correct or help them with any words," and things like that. And he would say, "Oh, Abby can't really hear. She's having, can you speak up a little bit louder?" And they would respond to that sort of thing.
Wow, what an experience you're having, Cam.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's great. And
Have you noticed a difference in some of the children that you have seen over a period of time? How their personality changes and they become, instead of a very reserved child, they end up being more outgoing and just brightens their day.
Well, we started in the kindergarten program, and then the teacher would give usually 3 books, and they would when it would first start off, you'd be lucky to get 1 book read. Then it was all 3, and then they look, "Why are you coming back?" And then when you see them in grade 1, then again, if they're still, they have to do their own stories,
Yes.
and they tell the stories, and if again, they do their own artwork, and they want to tell you all about that. I'll tell Abby all about the artwork.
Yes.
And it's fantastic. And then while they're reading, if they get a little close with the book, if she can't hear, they all move in. And then if they get close to the book, she'll give them a lick on the knuckles. Oh, keep going. She's loving that story. And it makes reading fun.
For them, yes.
Yeah, and we're just outside the classroom. room, in the hall usually, and there's no other distractions except the odd head sticking out down the.
It's still there.
From other classes.
No. Other classes.
The dog's the big thing.
Yeah. I'd like to go out and read now. yeah, exactly. So, does Abby ask you questions to ask the young person?
We talk about the story, and Abby will, if I say her name, she'll like this. So it's like she's engaged.
Yes. Yeah. And the kids like that, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if people are listening to this, they have a dog or dogs, and they are very well behaved, and they think that maybe this is something that they would like to do, go out into the community and either be with children and or older individuals, or just people that are in the hospital. So they can contact you.
Absolutely.
What's the best way?
I think if they go through the main office on
St. John Ambulance. Okay.
And just ask that, they'll give my contact information to them.
Yes.
And I would be, welcoming anybody who has that interest, because there are way more people in needs. We've just on the cusp of starting to work with fire, police, paramedics, because those are all stressful jobs. And we've let it be known that we could send out teams if they needed after a tragic accident or just in work day to day. I mean, we see what happens with the hospital workers, and it happens with teachers.
Yes,
the teachers wait for the Abbey days, or there's another dog that's in another school out there, and they wait for it, and they'll say, I just need to pat a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. I just need to be near a dog and talk to him.
And I think the good thing with having St. John's Therapy Dog program in is that the program, the dogs are all evaluated, and that evaluation is part and parcel to having the dogs insured and having the handlers insured. And that takes like a game with the hospital. The hospital leaves the third-party liability up to us. We make sure that the dogs that are going in with St. John's are covered under our insurance package, and that they know the dogs have been tested and they meet the requirements. So it's the same thing within the schools and that.
And we're also responsible to make sure that the vet certificates are up to date and the shots are all there.
Yes.
So that takes that worry away from places that we're visiting.
Yeah. Thank you for what you do. I think it's amazing.
We enjoy it.
And Abby, thank you. You're probably having a snooze since you've been working this morning. I don't blame her.
Come here, buddy.
Yeah. So thank you for coming in and talking with me today and letting our viewers know about this excellent program.
Pleasure.
Abby, thank you. Thank you very, very much. Okay, young lady?
We could never decide who gets more out of it. If we get more, the people we're visiting, or the dog gets more out of it, it's a win-win.
It is a win, and a win.
That's it.
You got
That's
it.